Hello everyone. What we're making today is cherry blossom cookies. These cookies are great for any time of the year, but I figured with Valentine's Day right around the corner, these would be perfect. What we're gonna need is some flour, light brown sugar, granulated sugar, almond extract, vanilla extract. We're gonna need 1 egg, baking soda, some Hershey Kisses. You can use milk chocolate, dark chocolate, whichever you prefer. We're gonna need some zest of a lemon. I do have some gel food coloring here. I may be using if I can't get it pink enough with our cherries. I do have 1 stick of butter, and we do want this room temperature or softened. And we have some maraschino cherries, and then we're gonna need a little bit of salt. So what I'm gonna do is clear off the stove here. I'm gonna get our measurements out, and then I'll be back to show you what we do next. In my bowl here, I have 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar, and then 1 full stick of butter. I did help the butter along a little bit because it is freezing cold here. So I just stuck it in the microwave on defrost until it got soft. I do have our maraschino cherries here. I did change the paper towel once already. I just chopped them up, and it is the entire 16-ounce jar of cherries. I have my lemon zest here, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and over here is the 1 teaspoon of almond extract. I do still have my egg back there, and then I have 3 tablespoons of the maraschino cherry juice. I may not use it all, but I have it just in case. And then I do have some extra granulated sugar on the side. We're gonna roll the cookies in that before baking. In my bowl here, I have 1 3/4 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I do have an additional 1/4 cup of flour back here just in case I need it. It just depends how wet the dough gets. We're gonna mix together the white granulated sugar, the light brown sugar, and butter until it's nice and creamy. And then over here, we're just going to whisk together the flour, salt, and baking soda. So once I get the sugars and butter mixed together, I'll be back to show you what it looks like. I got my sugar and butter mixed together. Now you're gonna go ahead and add in your egg. We're gonna mix that up until it's combined, and then I'll be back to show you what we add next. Now we're gonna go ahead and add the maraschino cherry juice, the almond extract, vanilla extract, as well as the lemon zest, and we're gonna give it a quick mix. This is what we're looking like. It is a very pale pink color. It doesn't show up on the video. I'm gonna start off slow, and I'm gonna add 1 drop of the food coloring gel, and I'm gonna give it a quick mix. You don't wanna add too much of the coloring because you could always add more, but you can't take out. So I'm gonna give this a quick mix and see what it looks like, and if I need to add more, I will. Okay, this is the color that I went for, but you have to remember we're going to be adding in the flour, so it's gonna tone it down a little bit. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add in our dry ingredients into our wet, and I'm gonna do this gradually. I'm gonna start off with using the mixer, and then as I get towards the end of the flour, I'll just fold the rest in by hand because we don't wanna overmix. This is what we're looking like, so I'm just going to finish folding the flour into the mixture, and then I'll be back shortly. Okay, now we're gonna fold in our cherries, and we still have our extra flour back there if needed. Once we get the cherries mixed in, I will see if we need to add the additional flour. Okay, got my cherries folded in, and yes, I am going to use the additional 1/4 cup of flour. I'm going to fold that in. This is what we're looking like. So what I'm gonna do is cover this, and we're going to chill it in the refrigerator for at least an hour. Once we're ready to bake the cookies, we're gonna preheat our oven to 350 degrees. I'm going to get a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. I'll roll them into little balls, and then roll those balls into our extra sugar. And then we'll get them onto the baking sheet and put them in the oven. But once we get to that step, I'll be back to show you what they look like. While the dough is in the refrigerator chilling, I'm just going to go ahead and unwrap about 24 of these Hershey Kisses. Okay, so I did let my dough chill. I'm using my scoop here. I've got my sugar back here, and I just roll them into balls, and then I just roll it through the sugar, place them on the baking sheet. We're gonna bake these at 350 degrees for between 8 and 11 minutes. I do have my Hershey Kisses over here. When they come out of the oven, we're just going to press the Hershey Kisses into the top of them, and we'll let them cool. Okay, so we just pulled them out of the oven. I'm baking them for 9 minutes. What you do is when you pull them out of the oven, you just take a Hershey Kiss and just press it down in there while they're still hot. And the heat will help melt the Hershey Kiss a little bit, and then they will stick on there. They'll still have just a tiny bit of a crunch on the outside. They'll be chewy in the middle. Let them sit on the pan for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then you can go ahead and transfer them to a cooling rack. Once I'm finished baking all the cookies, we'll be back to give them a taste. Our cherry blossom cookies are done. Let's give them a try. Give them a try. So pretty. Delicious. Now this batch did make 32 cookies for me, but it will depend on how big or small you make the cookies. You can just store them at room temperature in an airtight container. I hope that y'all enjoy this video, and if you make them, please let me know how you like them. I hope you have a great day and a great rest of your week, and I will see you on the next one. Bye everyone.